Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a tutorial using the new Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. This one is the Master Palette by Mario. So basically for the next 5 days in a row, I'm going to be using this palette and this palette only to create different eyeshadow looks. What I like to do when I get a palette is to actually use it and wear it for as long as I can until I run out of eyeshadow looks, basically. How many looks I can get out of it, if it's something that I actually end up wanting to return, very rarely do I do that. If it's something that I can really get a lot of use out of and get a lot of different looks out of. So yeah, I'm gonna call it the one palette a week challenge maybe. At the very least what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you different ways to use one palette to try to get the most out of it. If ever you're stuck going, okay, what do I need to use this for? I decided to start with this one just because it is sort of the newest, most popular palette. I also have this big Mac Daddy. This is the Kat Von D Metal Matte. So I feel like I want to use this one first because I feel like this palette is really good for fall looks. And then I'll move into using this guy for a week and sort of do my review on that one as well. I'm probably going to do 4 or 5 looks, and then there's going to be a review of how I feel about the palette as well. I really feel like that's sort of a spot that's missing on YouTube, is people do like 1 or 2 looks using an eyeshadow palette and then we like never see it again. And so maybe I'm just going to slow it down a little bit, one palette at a time, and kind of show you guys how versatile they really are, and then pop my review at the end. So this is day 1, obviously. I've created this look using the palette. I apologize, there's some weird shadows going on in my room right now. Created this sort of red metallic brown eye with sort of a fall green olive lip. Simple, super quick. I use 3 eyeshadows from the palette along with 3 brushes, so it's very, very easy to follow along with. If you guys want to know how to do this look, then just stay tuned and here's the tutorial. So to start off this look, there's only going to be 3 brushes that I decide to use, so I'm just going to kind of show you guys right now. A 217 sort of fluffy brush using a small flat shader brush, just happens to be from Morphe, and then just a pencil brush for the inner corner. On my eye, I already have Urban Decay Primer Potion. You can use whatever primer that you like. 3 shadows from this palette. So the first one that I'm going to use, this one is Lula. Pretty much the only lightest transition shade for my skin tone. So you may see me use this fairly frequently. I'm sort of used to having a lighter transition shade than this, or at least one that I can block out all the color on my lid. That is the lightest shade for this palette, so I feel like right off the bat that this palette is a little bit better for those who are slightly deeper skin tone than I am. That being said, I can make this work. Go into the little sort of 217 blending brush and pick up a little bit of Lula. And then this shade is going to go just slightly above my crease. And sort of into the crease as well. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to dust off my brush a little bit so that there's very little product, and just use that same brush to sort of just blend that Lula color up a little bit, just to try to blend it out. The next shade we're going to go into is this sort of red copper shade. This is Muse. And I'm going to use a little flat shader brush. This happens to be one from Morphe. It's an M210 if you're curious. I have like a bunch of these because they're always good for lid work. I'm going to take a little bit of Fix Plus. Now these eyeshadows are pretty creamy and stuff without Fix Plus, but I'm going to show you guys a tip to really get the most out of metallic-y kind of shiny eyeshadows. Into Muse with the wet brush. And then from there, I'm going to apply this all over the lid. Concentrating it on the middle of the lid, and then using feathering down motions, I sort of bring that color up towards the crease color. That way it doesn't disturb the dry eyeshadow that we place there, but also carries the color up. My trick, really simple trick, is while that eyeshadow is still sort of wet, I take just a finger into the dry part of the eyeshadow, and then I press that into the wet application that's on there. And that's really going to help, 1, make your eyeshadow last all day, and 2, it really brings out that metallic texture. You don't have to do this necessarily, but I like it, and I find it just makes the eyeshadows a little bit more intense. Alright, so then once that's applied, what I'd like to do is to just take the dry brush that I had applied Lula on and just use that to blend out this edge a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into Lula, dust that off, and then I'm going to use that to blend these two together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what's left on my brush from the Muse color. This is going to get applied right underneath my eye. And another trick I like to do, just to not dirty up another brush, is to again just take my finger and use that to blend out the eyeshadow on the bottom. And then lastly what I'm doing is I'm just going to take a pencil brush. I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is more of a champagne pink color. Fifth Avenue is more of a gold highlight, whereas Marina is more of a pink. So I'm just going to get a little bit of that on a pencil brush. I'm going to apply that right on the inner corner. And then lastly, just take the brush that we used to apply all the other eyeshadow, very lightly dust a little bit of that color on there, top it off, and then just lightly blend it sort of as a brow highlight. Alright, and when you're done with the eyes, I'm just going to apply a coat of mascara. You could do liner if you wanted to, but I find for this kind of look that I like just doing mascara, like especially when I have sort of a shimmery color on the lid. Right, so then that is the finished eye look. Super quick, super simple. 3 eyeshadows, 3 brushes. Done. For my face, I'm just going to do a quick contour. This is a Kat Von D Shade Light palette. It's in that Lazarus color, you know, the one that I always use. And then for blush, I'm going to be using NARS Orgasm. And for lips, to kind of keep it sort of fall, I really feel like this palette is a very good fall palette. It's very, very easy to use, which I'll go into in my review after I've sort of used it for a couple days. But anyway, I feel like it's definitely a very good fall palette. And so for lips, I've decided to pair it with sort of an olive green. This is Trouble from Lime Crime. Alright, so that is look number 1 using the Master Palette by Mario from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So yeah, as you can see, really easy and very, very quick to use. So from what I can tell, it's going to be a really good palette for those sort of in a rush, those who want to do a really nice look but don't have a lot of time, aka me pretty much, because I only have about like half an hour to get ready on certain days in the morning for work, so I feel like I can still get a really nice eyeshadow look, something really intense and bold and fall, but not have to mess around with eyeshadows that are going to take too long to fiddle with. So that's kind of fun. So anyway, I do hope you guys enjoy this, and definitely stay tuned for the rest of the week when I use all of this palette for 5 days basically. And let me know if you guys like the idea of this series, and yeah. So until my next one, I'll talk to all you soon. Bye!